Hello, today we're going to talk about pronouns. So I'd like you to take a few minutes to think about the kinds of pronouns that you know when you use them, okay? So the first thing I'd like to consider after thinking about the pronouns that you know is that pronouns are a closed class of words. And what do I mean by a closed class of words? So I want to say that differently from nouns, for example, we don't add, we don't insert new pronouns. We don't create new pronouns every day or every now and again. But if we consider nouns, yeah, we realize that we can create a noun every now and again. Yes. For example, 50 years ago, nobody would know the word Facebook. But nowadays, we know Facebook. It's a new noun and it's a new verb as well. Email, yes. So then if we just compare verbs and pronouns, that every now and then we are inserting new items, lexical items in these classes, in these groups. For pronouns, we don't have it. Yes, they are not very, but they are closed class. Okay, the items are there and we don't add things. Okay, the other thing is pronouns are used to substitute for or stand for the references to entities which full noun phrase make. Okay, so let me give you an example. If we say your boxes of photos have been delivered there in the kitchen, we have two clauses. The first clause is your boxes of photos have been delivered. Okay? And what's the subject of the sentence? Your box of photos. Perfect. Okay. Your boxes of photos is a noun phrase. Okay? The second clause, there in the kitchen, we have the pronoun they. And the pronoun they refers back to the noun phrase your boxes of photo. Okay? So we used they to substitute for your boxes of photo, to replace your boxes of photos. Okay? Another example is, could you carry this for me? In this situation, we don't have a previous clause to refer to. Yes, it's the context, it's the immediate context situation that's going to give us the reference. So, could you carry this for me? We can imagine that somebody is talking to somebody else. Yes? Let's say I'm talking to somebody. Yeah? So if I say, could you carry this for me? You is the person I'm talking to, is my listener. This is an object that I'm pointing at or I'm showing, okay? And me, I'm referring to myself, the speaker. So I can only understand, okay, the references you, this, and me, because I'm inserted in this immediate situation, this immediate context, okay? When I say, is there something wrong? Something is also a pronoun, okay? And here, we are not referring to something previously said, okay? Here we are referring to a general notion, okay? So quite probably I realized that things weren't okay. I'm just checking. Is there something wrong? So it's the general notion. If I say they've got speed cameras everywhere these days, so you've got to be careful, this they, again, is not referring back to something previously mentioned. Here we are making a reference to groups in general. So who might be these they who got speed cameras? Quite probably our governors, our mayors, okay? So our politicians. So these they refer to my background knowledge that the only ones who can install speed cameras are our governors, our mayors, okay? So this they is referring to something that's not in the text. It's outside the text, but my listener or my reader has this background knowledge so that they can understand who I'm referring to, okay? And you've got to be careful. This you is anyone who is listening to me or who is reading this sentence, okay? So we can conclude that the interpretation of the meaning of individual pronouns depends heavily on the context in which they occur. So we could see that sometimes we can't refer back to something previously mentioned. We have to resort to our context, okay, or to our background knowledge, so that we can infer what or who these pronouns refer to, okay? Like nouns, pronouns can act as the heads of noun phrases and function as subject, object or complement of the clause, or as the complement of a preposition. Here I have some examples. In the sentence, I miss you, we have two different pronouns, I and you. For the time being, we're not taking into account the kind of pronoun we're talking about, okay? Let's just think about the pronouns and their function. So in this sentence, I is the subject of my clause, of my sentence, whereas you is the object. I have another example. If I'm identifying someone in a photograph, I might say, that's him there, standing behind you. In this sentence, we have three different pronouns. That, him, you. That is functioning as the subject of my sentence, whereas him is the complement. And you, differently from the first example, is not an object. Why not? Because the verb stand doesn't need an object. It's an intransitive verb, okay? So, here we have standing behind you. Behind is a preposition. And you, in this situation, is functioning as the complement of a preposition. Okay? So, remember that the first thing that I asked you to do was to think about the different kinds of pronouns that you knew and when you use them. So, now let's tackle these different classes of pronouns, okay? When you think about the different ones, we think about personal pronouns, possessive pronouns, reflexive pronouns, reciprocal pronouns, relative pronouns, interrogative pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, and indefinite pronouns. So here we have 8 different classes of pronouns. Although pronouns have noun-like characteristics, which means that their characteristics resemble to the noun ones, they are rarely modified, okay? So let's consider now personal pronouns. When you think about personal pronouns, we have to consider that there are 2 different forms: the subject pronouns and the object pronouns, okay? So, when you think about the subject form, we have I for the first person singular, you for the second person singular, he, she, it, one for third person singular. We have to consider if it's female, if it's male, if it's neutral. Yeah, we have to consider these cases. We for first person plural, you for second person plural. And then you might ask me, what is the difference between you for the second person singular and you for the second person plural? Well, the spelling is the same. You can only identify which one you are referring to according to the context. Otherwise, we don't know whether it's you second person singular or you second person plural, okay? Only the context can distinguish them. And they for third person plural. And here in this case, it doesn't matter if we're talking about males, females, okay? Everything goes for they. If we consider the object forms, we have me, you, him, her, it, one, us, you, and them. Pay attention that they are exactly in the same position for first person singular, second person singular, third person singular, first person plural, second person plural, and third person plural, okay? So the difference here are the forms, subject forms or object forms, or also subject pronouns, object pronouns, okay?